Hello and welcome into another Red Out podcast. My name's Colonel Stewart. We're coming at you. Got a lot of Western football sports talk to talk about. Just a reminder, guys, if you wouldn't mind on YouTube, do the little the pleasantries there, like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate your support. And we also offer chapters. So if you wouldn't mind, you can click through to the sections of the podcast that you like to listen to. But stick with us.
Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
I am not ashamed to admit in the past, I've needed a therapist. We all need someone, and it's a strong person who can admit it. I talked to my doctor, who referred me to a therapist, and I really didn't have much say as to who the therapist was. But with this episode's sponsor, Betterhelp, you do. You can filter out who you would like to talk to, age, gender, religion, and more to pair you with the person who works best for you. And if the person isn't exactly who you were wanting, you're not stuck. You can switch counselors. BetterHelp strives to offer affordable, professional, and accessible online therapy. So go to betterhelp.com/redout today to save 10%. By doing this, you not only support us, you can work toward a brighter, healthier you. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode.
Yes, thank you to BetterHelp. We appreciate your support. Like I said, if you use the affiliate link, betterhelp.com/redout, you can save yourself 10%. And you also support us too, so we appreciate that. Matt, how's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. I tell you what, I know we really haven't talked about it a lot on the segment, but I have actually done fairly well on FanDuel.
Okay.
I know we're kind of jumping into it here, but I've kind of continued trying to not necessarily make a profit, but make some money on. Dadgummit. Sorry, I was trying to log in so I could see the odds and how everything's been going, but like with if you use like the link, like some of my friends have done, it gives me some money, it gives you some money, and I think it gives $100 each way for what's called a bonus bet. So I mean, and it's actually really pays off for the people. Basically, you get $10 free, but you just can't cash out the $10. So, or $100, whatever. How
Are
much?
you becoming an addict?
No, I'm okay.
A gambler. You need to call the red line.
I know, right? If you have problems with gambling, please call. But no, no. Actually, what I did is I put a little money on Western versus that team we played last week, Louisiana Tech. I put what it was is I had bonus bucks left over. I had 180 bonus bets.
That sounds like Chuck.
And so I spread those over 4 bets. What I did four bets. I did Western over 5.5, Western Kentucky to win, and over points, 60.5. And I made, of course, I did $45 bet, and the odds was plus 260, so that gave me about $117. And then I did the under as well because I had it's free money basically. And of course, I didn't get that. I did the under.
Right.
And then, which by the way, it would have paid out if our offense and defense had actually come back in the second half, or offense anyway.
Yeah. No.
And then, of course, I took Western to win and over the other, and I ended up making about almost $80.
Wow.
And then I actually had one more game because I had what they called a profit boost. So basically, that is just a double down of the odds. So this was I can't find where my where the odds are, but okay, here it is. So it basically doubles it. So at one of the bets I did was plus 240, and the other it ended up being plus 480. So I was like, okay, you're going to double whatever I've got on it. So I started looking at games last week. So I looked at the big one. Everybody was talking about, at least around here, was Georgia versus Kentucky. So yeah, and that's what I said too. I was like, Georgia's okay, and this is the analogy I have told all of my family and basically anybody who would listen. Georgia, or let me back up. Kentucky is like a Camaro. Okay, it's fair. It's just a Camaro. You go to the lot, you pick it up, you pay for it. It's what you get. Georgia is like a Dodge Viper, or what is it, the Hellcat, the Dodge Demon, it's a beast. They are a beast. The only crack in the armor, so to speak, I thought was the game they played against Auburn, which they beat them by 7 points, and I was like, that doesn't look too good for them. And then, of course, I looked at Kentucky's schedule, and I thought, well, have they played anybody? The only person they played was Florida. So it's one of those, I was like, I can't justify putting a bet on that. So I started looking down through the list, and I found Oklahoma versus Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually put money on Oklahoma to win that game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And honestly, of course, I'm not doing anything drastic. First off, they're $10 wagers. I did Oklahoma to win and over the points, which was 60.5. I thought that's easy. Texas and Oklahoma both are averaging over 30 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's a coin toss as to who would win. And then I put Oklahoma plus 6.5 and over the 60.5 and over the spread. Sorry, I did the money line and total points, and I did spread and total points. And I actually did pretty good. I didn't watch the game, and I didn't go to the game because I'm not an Oklahoma fan, so it's whatever. But my brother texted me, and he's like, "You lucky dude." Of course, he didn't say dude, but. And I was like, what? And he sends me a picture, and it's 4 seconds to go, and Texas has the ball, and Oklahoma had just scored that last second or last minute, basically, touchdown with 15 seconds to go in the game.
Right.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So, so I got lucky there. Have you done any wagering? Or do you want to plead the fifth?
I actually haven't yet. I want to. I've been so swamped at work. I haven't set stuff up and all that crap, but I need to.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I understand completely. I honestly I can easily see how people get addicted to this. I really can.
Oh yeah, you just made how much? Obviously you had a good run, and
I'm not going to. I've got $50 in the account, and that's basically from winnings, and I just withdrew the rest of it. But from the Western game, I have about $200, and from the other, I made about $200, but I only withdrew the 150, and I left $50 in it. So, because what I plan on doing is just doing like a simple $10 bet, on Western or whoever per week, and then just be like, hey, these are my picks.
Yeah, I got you.
This is what I would recommend. But that's just where I'm at, and of course, looking ahead to Western's game. And I don't know how we should talk about this. Is this technically our bye week, or is this just a late game week?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Obviously we need to talk about it because we have a game before we have another podcast. So
Yeah, so
we don't get a week
technically,
off.
yeah, I know.
Does.
So we're going to be playing Jacksonville State next Tuesday, which is so weird. But since we're talking Vegas odds, currently as of Wednesday night, Western is getting 4.5, and aren't we in Jacksonville State? Am I wrong there?
It's at Jacksonville State.
It is in Alabama at Jacksonville State. And they're giving us 4.5, and the total points is 61.5 total points. I easily could see Western covering.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think we could do total points easy.
Yes, I think that possibly could be one. Also, at 4.5, I mean, one issue with Jacksonville State was they had not one but two possibly injured quarterbacks. So the chances that they don't have some kind of issues, or maybe WKU gets a couple hits on them or something, and they knock one of them out. They really struggled against Liberty once they started having some injury issues. So
Yeah.
I would one or both of them are either out or banged up, and so I think just the odds on that, plus the fact that I think WKU would likely cover anyway.
Yeah.
That's a small number for WKU to cover. If WKU is going to win in your mind, 4.5 is not that much to think. Maybe take WKU at minus 4.5.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think your odds would be really well, but I think what you could do, if you're looking at it, is you could definitely do. You can either take Western with the money line, kind of like a parlay bet, so to speak. If you took Western and you took either total points, let's see, I'll just do total points just to see what it is. It's not going to pay out a lot. It's paying out 155 if you do over 61.5. If you do under, you're going to get 153 plus 153.
Yeah.
So what that means is American odds is based around $100. So if you bet $100 and if you bet $100 and the odds are plus 153, then you would make $153 to your $100 bet. Now the straight money line odds is a minus 205. So what that means is when it's a minus is you have to bet $205 to win $10 or $100. I'm sorry. So you would have to bet double just to win one. But if you do it as a parlay, let me see here. There we go. I was just trying to see what my sorry. Okay, here we go. Let me clear these out because these are starting to mess with me. Here we go. Okay. So if we
I love it, man.
well, I'm trying. Because I mean I did struggle early on with it, and one of our former co-hosts, I mean Ross, I mean I know he'd be on if we could do this later, but he was like, God, man, that was awful. So I thought I've got to rework this. But if you do Western, we'll just say the money line with Western, and you do the spread, it is where is that? Sorry, I'm trying to find this. Oh, it won't let me do the spread and Western. So evidently it's not going to do that. That's what's up. Okay.
Okay, I was going to comment on the total points score because
Go ahead.
you said it was 61.5.
That's what it's got right now is 61.5.
So my immediate reaction to that is be careful about betting it either way because WKU and Jacksonville State both average about 30. WKU is inconsistent, and you never know. Hey, are they going to throw 21 points away in the second half on defense by not showing up? Also, Jacksonville State only gives up. They give up less than 20 a game.
Yeah.
I think it. I mean, I guess statistically, maybe I would lean to taking the under on that. But also, you never know if this is going to be the breakout game and WKU shows up. So I honestly don't know if I would mess with that 61.5 at this point. If it goes a little lower or higher, then maybe you could make a reaction. But I think that feels like it's a pretty good line that makes me wonder, could it seriously go either way? So I don't know if I'd mess with that, but I definitely would feel good about minus 4.5, taking WKU, something like that, like as a straight up bet. If you're a little nervous about 4.5, whatever. But those would be what I would lean to if we're talking a WKU bet for sure.
Yeah. I think if Western, okay, hypothetically, if Western did win, they would be over 4.5. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Most likely. But there's a reason that sometimes people lose that money because something weird happens, and Western's up 10. There's a pick six in the last second, or whatever, and they only win by 3 or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, last week with Law Tech, I probably wouldn't have won my bet if Western hadn't tanked the second half. So I really wasn't complaining. I mean, it sounds bad, but it's the truth. Once Western was up, and I thought, well, there goes my spread bet.
Yeah,
And it's like, so I guess I'll get money line, but I'm not going to get total points unless Western goes over 70. And it's like, so luckily, luckily Western was able to hold off Law Tech. Spoiler alert. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But sorry, we'll talk a little volleyball real quick, and we're going to talk some basketball. But looks like dadgummit. I don't know if it's going to show it to me. Conference USA announced volleyball's slate of weekly award winners Monday, and the tops remain undefeated in Conference USA action. They swept Liberty and Jackson State this week, and middle hitter Gabby Wee was named the Conference USA Freshman of the Week, her second award honor of the season. So congratulations to her. She's averaging 1.46 kills, which is better than some 12-year-olds on Call of Duty. The WKU middle hitter hit .33 through the week, marking her 8th in the league in hitting percentage over 4 matches with 9 kills off of 15 swings. We hit 400 in the 5-set thriller over Liberty and worked the defensive side of the net, stuffing a career high of 7 blocks from the middle. So congratulations to her. Let's see if we got any other toppers.
I will say something that I think is newsworthy that we didn't mention last week. WKU volleyball did fall out of the polls. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't lose or anything. But for whatever reason, there were some other teams that won. They did fall out. They were 27th last week. They're 26th this week, and they need 51 points to get back in the polls. So to get back in the top 25. So we'll see if they get there sometime in the next couple weeks. They did play 4 games this week, so maybe that'll help out. But actually, that's after the 4 games. So we'll see if they get back in the top 25. They will eventually if they keep winning.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're right there on that edge of top 25 again. So yet another good year. It hasn't been the top 25 show like it has the last few years, but obviously they're the worst they've been is number 27. I think we should take that.
Yeah. That would be a good bet. I think that's just a matter of time, though. Yeah, and good luck to the Lady Tops. I'm sure they've got. Let's see. I'm sorry, I haven't had a lot of time today to do a lot of podcast homework. So I was at my parents and my daughter and I went to the Louisville Zoo, so that was a lot of fun to do. Yeah, it was fun. Of course, we got out of the zoo right at rush hour traffic, so it was like, oh, this is great.
Wonderful.
Yes. So it was one of those where it was like, we're driving down the road and go 3 foot, stop, go 3 foot, stop. And, my mom's like, oh, that's a hamburger place. I'm like, if you're hungry, go up there and order something. You got plenty of time. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. They play, I don't know if you pulled it up yet. They play New Mexico State at New Mexico State. That'll be interesting with the travel and everything on Friday and Saturday.
Yes, I'm gonna put that in the show notes real quick. Dadgummit, sit still. So we've got New Mexico State.
That should be an easy WKU sweep. But you never know going out west, elevation, whatever. New opponent too. They've never really played New Mexico State, so we'll see how they do. But hopefully they just keep on rolling like normal.
Yeah, I think the Lady Tops will do okay. Coach Hudson's done a really great job with the ladies, and I think they are. I think they'll be prepared. They will be back in action on the 20th after New Mexico State. So we'll talk more about them next week, and we'll see if Miss Gabby can get some more awards because she's doing amazing so far. All right, come on now. Let me in my calendar.
Yeah, I love the depth that they have. There's so many good young players. Like the last few years, it's been Paige Briggs and oh shoot, the what was her name? Dadgummit. I just went totally blank. But the other girl that was she was hitting like 400 all year. The last 4 years. Anyway, whatever her name was, I totally just went blank on who that is.
Yeah, and I've been.
It was those two, and now honestly, I think it's way more spread out. And WKU actually has some options that an opposing defense doesn't really know which way they're going to go. So it's kind of nice to see.
We've got Callie Bear.
I think it's
Bauer, Callie. Sorry, Callie. Callie Bauer and Abby Schaefer are two of the girls who did really well against Jacksonville State. Then we got Paige Briggs, who opened up the match with back-to-back kills against Jacksonville State. Then we've got Kaylee Cox. Do what?
Lauren Matthews is the girl that I was thinking of. She was the superstar, All-American, whatever. So it's her and Paige Briggs that were the standout stars. But this year it's a little more balanced, and that's honestly nice to see because I think it makes it more difficult to match up.
Yeah. I honestly, like, Western's women is so much above the competition as far as, volleyball goes, typically, at least in conference wise, because they just dominate, and it's great to see. Honestly, and I mean, some Western fans may hate this idea, and I don't know, but if Coach Helt never leaves, I think we should just move Travis Hudson to football. I mean, it's just my thought, but I'm just saying. I mean, I think he would do great, and then that would just move him up into getting his statue for that game. So, okay, so Matt, I'm going to let you talk some basketball real quick, and then we'll get into our football talk.
Yeah, so just real quick, I know it's not deep into basketball season, but obviously we have they've brought Hilltopper Hysteria back, so I want to make sure people know about that. It's October 26th, obviously at Dill Arena. That is a Thursday, so make sure at 6:30. So make sure you come out, support the Tops, see what's going on. Because of COVID, they had quit doing that, but it's back, and I think it's a really good opportunity to see what's going on with both men's and women's basketball. But just wanted to highlight, we haven't talked a ton of basketball yet, and it's getting to that time of year. I personally love basketball just as much as football. If not, what? You play football? That's all you do? Okay, Andrew Jackson.
Hey, I will admit I am biased towards football. I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, obviously,
I can admit that.
Close to my heart too, buddy. I mean,
but Matt, denial is not just a river in Egypt, buddy. Okay. I said that to somebody one day. And they just stared at me like I was an idiot.
What?
And I was like, denial, like the Nile, and they were like, oh. And I was like,
right.
Okay.
So
it's a good joke. It's a good joke.
It was excellent. Excellent work, Devin. I'm going to move on, though.
Thanks.
So Western, about the schedule, one thing to note, it definitely is kind of a softer schedule. It seems like that's going to be the approach of Lutz in some ways, not to demean him, but it's definitely a little weaker schedule. So I would hope that WKU does pretty well against this non-conference schedule. I do think that Conference USA honestly brought in some strength in men's basketball, so it'll be interesting to see how we fare. But obviously, it was nearly historically good last year. Obviously, had a Final Four team and a bunch of teams that probably deserve to be in the tournament. As far as the roster, just want to go through real quick and just kind of talk about who we have on the roster. I'm just going to run straight through by number just because it's easy on WKU website. Just kind of comment. There's Rodney Howard, 6'11", forward, 250 pounds. He's a fifth-year guy, and he transferred from Georgia Tech. So I think he could be a pretty good piece. Falujun is back, 6'11" guy, redshirt junior. So he still has potentially at least one more year left with us. So hopefully he kind of develops some more and can really be relied on and hopefully used correctly.
Yeah.
Don McHenry is a guy that Lutz picked up. And again, a lot of these guys came. It took a few weeks to kind of get some of these pieces falling, but it's nice to see we have some decent pieces that I think could be pretty competitive. We'll see how they all come together. But he was at Indian Hill Community College, not Country Club, but it is Indian Hill CC. So, but
Yeah, I
anyway,
can see that. Let's is like, man, I need a guy to play forward or center. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, sir, I'm a caddy. Oh yeah, well now you're playing basketball, so let's go.
right, yeah. But he was a All-American as a JUCO guy, so quality pickup.
Yeah.
Certainly a pretty decent looking prospect. And a lot of these guys can shoot. I like the pieces that he's put together. Jalen Jackson, fifth-year guy. Christian Lander is back. Babacar Faye is a guy that was he was at College of Charleston, I believe, and he was a good role player for them. They were a tournament team, so he's brought in some guys that have some good experience. Brandon Newman's a guy from Purdue that had some connections to Coach Lutz, and seems like he could be a pretty good player as well, one of the core guys. Dante Allen, obviously we know about Dante, and he's shown a lot of ability, and hopefully he kind of puts it together and has a consistent year. Hopefully could be kind of player of the year-esque or first team all conference or something, because we really need him to step up since we had some guys transfer out. Davion, but Cincinnati. Anyway, or he went to Xavier, but he's in Cincinnati, the city of Cincinnati. Anyway, Perryon Murdoch's another guy. They got a lot of seniors and grad transfers. He's another one that's a graduate. BJ Marable. I don't know much about him. Let me see. At Triton. I don't remember much about him. He was at UNC Asheville some. Highly rated in the state of Tennessee, coming out of high school. So there's a lot of interesting pieces here that you kind of wonder, okay, there's no guy that has like a huge resume besides maybe Dante Allen of scoring big on the college level. So, like, is somebody going to step up and be a superstar? Are they all going to be kind of a lunch pail, come together and just kind of team effort type of feel? We don't know. So, just to finish off the rest of the roster, Jack Edelin, Jalen Dorsey, Enoch Kalambe, Tyrone Marshall's back, Tegan Moore's a young freshman, and Tyler Olden. So just wanted to run through and let people know who's out there. Go check it out and look at the website and kind of get to know these guys and give some NIL money to them or whatever. And anyway, it looks like I'm interested to see how they look in person and everything. Hopefully I'll get to go to Hilltopper Hysteria, but I'm very interested to see how they look and how we do this year. So,
Yeah, I agree. I'm very interested in to see how the tops are going to do. I mean, like you said, it's Coach Lutz's first year. I am maybe I'm just kind of being a little apprehensive with it being his first year, but or maybe I'm just being a little more forgiving. How about that? So I would encourage everybody else to just calm down, not freak out when all of a sudden you're not happy with the way things are going. Quite, but but just kind of like uh, Aaron Rodgers a few years ago, just relax. Let's just see how things pull out, or work out. So that's what I would say. Just sorry, I'm trying to do two things. But just
I don't
chill out.
know.
It'll be fine. I think everything will work out with Coach Lutz, and if it doesn't, we'll be moving on to the next one. So
Right. Great. Yeah, that's really encouraging. It's funny you
it's kind of
reference.
like my betting talk. Okay.
That was impressive, man. I was actually kind of impressed with all that. Mentioning Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if we should take his advice about just chilling out though, because he blew out his leg the first game he played this year.
I think that was by design. I think the Packers were like, "Hey, we have held his leg together with voodoo and power flex, so let's." They're like, you know what? If he's going to go to the Jets, let's go get a chicken and take care of his knee.
That's it.
That's a major league reference for you, also. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think Coach Lutz is going to be okay. I would give him a year though, guys. Honestly, at least that's my opinion. Let's just see how things go this year. He did pretty well down in what was that? Where he was, Houston, Corpus Christi, or San Antonio, Corpus Christi, or Texas, Corpus Christi, somewhere.
Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Yes.
Christian Baptist Buddhist Muslim University. Yes. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I mean, he did good down there. He made it to the dance. It's better than what we've did in the past 5 years. Does that sound right?
I mean, the man has an impressive resume. So, I mean, he worked at two really nice looking jobs as an assistant. I mean, he was at Creighton and Purdue. So they have huge experience in the NCAA tournament and being ranked and all that. And then he goes to this hole in Texas and takes them from 5 wins to immediately winning 2 tournaments or two conference tournaments and NCAA tournament appearances, including winning a game. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. You wonder, is Western going to be a step up from certainly a step up in expectation? I mean, WKU fans are starving for something good historically from basketball, and it just hasn't happened in the last decade. So he's certainly got a lot of expectations. But then again, we held on to Stansbury for 7 years, and he never made the tournament. So he's got 7 years to match or better Rick Stansbury. So we'll see how it all plays out. But
okay, let's talk hypotheticals.
All right.
Do you see Coach Lutz lasting as long as Stans did? Professionally and at Western, do you see him making it 7 years?
I mean, honestly, my guess is I think that he's gonna take us back to the tournament, and he'll probably bounce somewhere else. I'm not going to predict that he's going to win Conference USA this year. I think the guy knows what he's doing. In my opinion, I believe he knows what he's doing. I've heard good things about what he's doing. You might question some of the stuff that the way that he had a delay in getting any kind of recruit and stuff like that. That was kind of like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? But ultimately it worked out, and he's got a nice roster put together. I think he's going to do a good job, and I'm excited to see. I'm clinging on to the hope that Steve Lutz is the answer, and I'd love to see WKU back within 2 or 3 years, and he takes off somewhere else. That would leave us in a good position financially. It would get us back where we need to be, and then we could go get a coach that continues it forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment, especially with Coach. I think it's a lot of possibility with him. I think we've got a lot of chances, like you said. I don't see him lasting as long as Coach stands. We'll see.
Are you getting at like how long of a leash he would have, or are you?
What I was saying is whether he wins or loses, either way, we want to look at it. would he make it 7 years? And I don't think he will,
7 years is a long time.
especially in college coaching at a certain team. And I think the only reason we had Stans that long is because he was basically,
Average.
slightly retiring. I mean, like literally, I think the man could have retired at any time he wanted to, really, right? Or am I just being rude?
No. I mean, I guess it's fair. I think the reason Stan stayed, I think he would have taken another job if he got offered something that was way better than WKU. I think he just didn't achieve enough to get offers, but he didn't do enough to get fired either until the last year. And so,
Which I don't know if all of that should have been on him as much as some of the issues that came up, whether it was culture on the team, whether it was, um, essentially the house of cards fell when he had to step out.
Right. I mean, one thing that you always heard was he was an incredibly nice man, and he was always gracious and helpful and all that stuff. But I do think there were some things with him being so nice and everything. I think now that we've heard some things about how the program was really running and the internal stuff, it was shocking to me to know some of it. But, hearing about how, debatably using film, maybe not pushing the guys that hard. Well, that explained why they always looked like they were struggling or that they needed to slow down or whatever because they weren't in shape. And so I think being a nice guy had its perks, but it also kind of you need someone to make sure that everything is pulled together. And so I think Lutz is going to run a much tighter ship. And I think we'll see if that pays dividends.
Well, and it's like we've heard before that once Lutz took over right after the season ended, the guys were super winded for some of the guys, and it was like, what were you doing? I mean, I don't understand as far as like your, things you would assume you're coming out of the season, you just got a brand new coach. You can't be more than a week or so away from conditioning, and yet you're just completely and utterly winded and out of shape.
Well, I mean, Jamarian Sharp is not at WKU because of Steve Lutz's workouts.
Well, I wasn't going to throw him. I wasn't going to throw him under the bus, but yeah.
Well, no, I mean that honestly, I mean it is what it is. It's not like he's a bad guy or anything. Stuff happened. He worked out. He didn't like it, and he immediately let everybody know that he was transferring. And then he, bizarrely, was at some Western football games this year. So I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, he was here like a few weeks ago. The last Western game or the one before, I saw him.
Yeah,
at the game. It was weird, but anyway, supposedly he's gone to Ole Miss, and the rest is history. But we wish him luck and everything. And sometimes it's just not a fit. Sometimes people don't fit with certain coaching staff or whatever. I'm not taking a shot at him at all. Obviously, he's one of the greatest centers to ever play at Western, statistically for sure.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
He's all-time leading blocks leader, and he had at least another year he could have played here.
I mean, Jim McDaniels was better, but sure, okay, let's go with that.
Of course, he was a better overall player.
But you said statistically. I'm just going by the guy's results. I'm just saying. Led us to a Final Four. We got second or third place in it. But you're taking. I mean, I know you don't like Jamarian Sharp, but you don't have to be so disrespectful to him. Okay.
Can we go to football?
Yes, we can go to football. So last week, Western played one half of a football game, and they got lucky in the second half, and they made me some money. Next, but anyway,
okay.
No.
No. Let me rein this in here, brother. Let me rein this in.
Do what now?
Let me rein this in, okay?
Okay. You talk. You do your talk, bud.
You being childish, bro.
Come on, man. Come on, bro. That's our Bobby Rainey. That's our Bobby Rainey Willie target. Okay.
Anyway,
seriously though, yeah. Western, I mean, at least in my opinion, they scored 35 points before halftime, and they scored nothing else the rest of the game. Going into halftime, it was 35-7, and I mean, even the announcers were like, "This game's about to get out of hand," and I thought it was too.
yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, I'm not as big a fan that I drove down to Ruston, Louisiana. I'm sure some people flew or drove or whatever. I'm glad you got the money and ability to just run off on a Thursday night, but the rest of us can't. So, honestly, Western did really well in the first half, and that offense that went out there played amazing. In the
Yes.
second half, they must have got on the bus and they had some dudes wear the same uniforms because I don't know where those guys went.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the same thing all year where Western just takes a half off, whether it's in the middle of the game, second, third quarter, first and second, third and fourth, whatever. Western still has not, and even in the middle game, it was a little bit more of a complete game, but still, it was 8-7 in the second half. The offense didn't do much, especially on the scoreboard, even against middle. In this game, it looked like finally we had WKU football. Like, here we are. This is who we are. This is what we're going to do the rest of this year. And then they just completely go on not even autopilot. Like, they just turn the engine off and hope they didn't fall out of the sky. Like, and
Yeah. And honestly, if it wasn't for the defense, they would have.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the defense once again has shown. To me, it was crazy to see people dogging on the defense. That is ridiculous. The
I mean,
defense.
I have picked at the defense, and I will say that. But in this past game, the defense saved us.
Yeah, I mean, here's the trend: is the defense is now doing its job. They've held two straight opponents under 400 yards. That's what you need in college football, especially when you have an explosive air raid type of offense. So they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're forcing turnovers on top of not giving up tons and tons of yardage anymore. So yeah, the statistics are ugly overall for the year, but the last two games they've been much better. They've done what they were supposed to, and they've given WKU a chance, and we've won the last two games because of the defense. So it's certainly not the defense's problem. The offense has to show
Step
what
up.
they did. Yeah, step up and do what they did in the first half against Middle and La Tech. Either one of those are acceptable, but you got to continue it on in the second half.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, no joke. I don't even know how many 3-and-outs Western had in the second half on offense. And then, we would punt. Smoke Harris would have a decent run. And then, Western would, the defense would have to get right back out there. And then they'd come off the field and offense would have a 3 or 4 out, fumble, whatever. And of course, we only had one turnover for the game, so that was great. But,
So we had 5 in a row to end the game.
we had what?
1, 2, 3, 4, 3. You're talking about 3-and-outs. 5 3-and-outs in a row to end the game.
And honestly, like, if was that
That doesn't
Washington?
hold.
Who was it that got the interception? Was that Washington or
The interception? No, that was is number 4. Hold on, I'll find it here in a second. Interception.
no, you're good. Yeah, ESPN just has pass intercepted.
Anthony Johnson.
There you go, Johnson. Which, by the way, did he hurt his knee celebrating, or was that somebody else coming off the field? Do you remember that?
That wasn't that somebody else that did it earlier in the game or something? It was.
You may be right. You may be right. It's been a week. But yeah, it was.
Might have been Bryson Washington, I think. Maybe
that may have been okay.
'cause he got
Maybe
a
I just got the
TFL. He got a TFL and jumped up and celebrated, and then like limped off. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, and of course the funny thing for me is the refs were even talking about it. They were like, "Oh, look at this," and it's like, "What the flip, man?" I was like, "Oh, I hope he didn't mess something up," because he made Defensive Player of the Week last week. Congratulations to him. Not La Tech week, but the week before.
Right.
So he had an awesome game there, and then to come out and foobar his knee because of a celebration is horrible. But yeah, Western had 14 first downs. La Tech had 19. We had 3 for 14 on third down efficiency, 1 of 2 fourth down. La Tech was 4 of 17, and they were 4 of 6 fourth down efficiency. So for every 3, they got 2 fourth downs converted. That is crazy. And honestly, I blame the offense for that, as backwards as that may sound, because the defense couldn't get a break and cool off and calm down because they had to go back on the field. And I imagine some of the big boys got winded real easy. Total yards, Western ended up with 426, La Tech 397, passing 297, 259, rushing 129, 138, which, by the way, I mean, I'm happy with 129 rushing. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's fine.
And, that's great. We ended up with almost 5 yards per rush. On average. So that's another one. That's another great one.
Well, and defensively too, like giving up 138 yards, right? But on 38 rushes.
Yeah.
So way less than 4 yards a carry. I'll take that. And they have a good running back. I mean, you did what you could to slow them down. That's a good job, especially for this rushing defense. Like, hey, get in their way and don't give up 250 yards. Like, good job.
And I can't fault the defense on that.
Yeah.
So I'm completely happy with their performance on that end. And I mean, even we were 4 of 4 penalties for 43 yards. They had 7 penalties for 55. We had 1 interception that was thrown, and they had 2 interceptions thrown. And the lucky thing for us was that last interception was with a minute to go or something, less than a minute to go, because La Tech was trying to score in basically a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, they're trying to tie the game, and we picked it off. So
yeah, so luckily Western pulls out the W there, it was a very frustrating second half to watch.
Absolutely.
At least in my opinion.
You look at, like, for me, I don't take issue with, giving up a couple touchdowns or something. But at some point you got to respond and realize, okay, we can't just fart around and do nothing. And I understand they're not thinking, hey, let's just go 3 and out and give it back to them and we'll win this game. Obviously not. And there were some drops, by the way. There were some things that happened besides just sitting there doing nothing. But I mean, you've got to have that killer instinct. You got to have something that makes you wake up and be like, okay, we can't go 5 straight 3 and outs, which by the way, the last 3 and out was the kneel down. So whatever, but 4 straight 3 and outs. And then you get lucky because your defense picks it off without any timeouts left. Okay, what did the offense do to seal this game? The only thing they did was the first half, and then everything else was the defense holding on. So you got to have something that you wake up and realize, crap, we're only up 2 touchdowns. We got to do something.
Yeah.
Instead they just, they really didn't do anything in the second half, and it was, like you said, it's hard to watch.
Well, I will tell you, I had a very interesting adventure trying to watch that game. I did not. My wife and I, we've changed our Hulu package, so we don't have live TV anymore. And I did not. I thought that we had ESPN through another ability to watch that, and so I was like, "Oh snap!" So I found a website that I could watch it on. So I watched the game on. I tried to watch the game on it, and every so many minutes it would kind of time out or something. So I'd have to reload it and redo it. So the first half was just spotty as all get out. I didn't get to see hardly any of it, but we were winning, so I got to see the last few minutes of the first half. Then the second half, I got to watch most of it, and we had issue after issue. Well, I got to see the interception, and my phone is at like 2 or 3% battery. And I'm sitting there watching the game. Of course, everybody else has gone to bed. And I'm like, okay. And then the refs, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure those refs reviewed every single flipping thing that night. Did they not?
It was a lot. Was it 5 or 6 reviews or some crap?
It was. I thought it was a little bit overkill, but any call that was relatively arguable, I won't even say close, I will say arguable, they reviewed it. Everything. And I'm like, this is making the game so slow.
Didn't they review something that was like 1 yard? There was
Yeah.
some tight end that went out of bounds a yard earlier or something.
Yeah.
And they reviewed it, and it was 1 yard, but we spent like 2 or 3 minutes figuring it out. Like,
Well, even with Austin Reed, they did a review on his little run to see where he went to. Which
that was reasonable. They ended up overturning it and whatever.
That's what I was about to say. It wasn't completely ridiculous
It was
to
excessive.
see where he landed, because that was a very key moment in the game. But at the same point, it was like, can we just go on, guys? We have to review everything. Well, anyway,
give us the first down. Let us win. Come on.
Yes, that's all we need. But anyway, so basically what I was getting at is I've got like 2 or 3% of battery left, and they come running up and they go, the previous play is under further review. And I was like, oh, shoot. And so then all of a sudden my phone goes black screen. And I was like, oh crap, did my phone just die? So I take off, run in, plug it up in the bedroom, grab my iPad, which is my iPad, but it's been basically inherited by my child because she's just taking it over. And I'm trying to get the game pulled up. And when I got it pulled up, we were in the victory formation. So I was like, oh, sweet. Thank God. Okay. But yes, it was a very, very fun interaction for me there. And it was like, this is ridiculous. But, Western pulled the wind out. So they were able to win that one. Luckily, but honestly, I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts on Western versus La Tech?
Yeah, I mean, and I know we're running low on time, whatever. So I'll just kind of wrap some thoughts in there. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to think of this team so far. I mean, obviously we played 6 games, but how do you know how to feel about them? Like, if you had said, "Hey, we're going to be 4-2 and undefeated in conference," I feel like you kind of take that. I mean, it might be you might wish to be 5-1 and have beaten Troy, but other than that, like a close loss to Troy, and obviously a loss to Ohio State. Oh well. But when you look at how they've performed within the games, it's like, good Lord, this team could be so much better than they are. And
Yeah.
I hope ultimately, that it starts to come together, because it's concerning. Like, you've got 2 huge games coming up here. Jacksonville State knows what they're doing. They're 5-2. The only loss they have in conference is to Liberty, and it was a pretty close game until the very end. And then you have Liberty the week after, who is gonna freaking eat our lunch if we don't get together. So I'm hoping that we turn the corner, and maybe that first half was a sign of the Tops finally getting healthy and coming together. But man, it's how
tough.
do you know what to think of them? I don't know.
I mean, it is. I mean, honestly, if you would have told me in week 0 preseason that this is where we would be, and this team you wouldn't be able to lock it down as to where they are, I would have told you were full of crap, because you're looking at Austin Reed and these guys, and you're like, well, I don't, you're full of it. There's no way, no possible way. But with where we are, with the inconsistency on offense, and I know you're taking up for the defense a little bit, but they do have some inconsistencies as far as everything goes.
100%. I'm not thrilled with the defense, but they are showing signs of being decent. And
yes,
taking care of business and getting better.
Yes, and we just need more consistency on both sides of the ball. Offense taking care of the ball, defense, doing their thing, getting the ball. And I mean, even the announcers were calling us the takeaway Tops, which, by the way, coolest nickname ever.
We'll take it.
But I'm happy with the win. We did great. But we can improve, and we can show up for the second half. Is basically my final thoughts there.
For sure.
Now, next Tuesday on October 17th. Now, right here it says ESPNU, and I swear last week it said ESPNU.
It did. They moved it because all the MLB playoffs went 2-0, and they didn't have a third game in the wild card series. So that's why we flexed to ESPN, because there wasn't anything else that they were going to show.
Yeah, volleyball, because that's what was on ESPNU, because that's where I was.
Yeah, well, they moved that up from ESPN Plus, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because I went to ESPNU, and I'm like, where's the flipping game? There's no game here. What's going on? And then, of course, we started, like, I got in our group chat, and everybody's like, it's ESPN, it's ESPN. I'm like, oh, snap.
You got to pay attention.
No, not me. Come on, dude. I'm too poor to pay attention. Anyway, Western is playing on ESPNU on October 17th, which is next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. We are going to be in Jacksonville State. That is Alabama. It's right next to Greenbow, Alabama. But anyway, it's we're going to be playing them. And like you said, Jacksonville State's right behind us in the rankings as far as Conference USA goes. They are a first-year FBS team, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
They are, yes.
And
Rich Rod too, Rich Rodriguez.
Okay.
So a lot of people would recognize Rich Rodriguez from Michigan and some other. I think it was at Arizona. So he's had some big-time jobs, and he, got fired for sexual harassment, whatever. And now he's at Jacksonville State. Complaining about their budget and press conferences, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, apparently his thing for why Liberty was, he didn't really say this is why Liberty's better or something, but he was like, what's their budget versus ours? He's like, I guarantee you we're less. I'm like, are you really?
Yeah, he's complaining.
You're digging a hole, man. Like, you're pissing your fan base off. You're crapping on your recruiting efforts. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, he looked like a man.
He's 40.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but he didn't look like a beast. He looked like a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good solid team. A big surprise, like probably the surprise of Conference USA football for sure. I mean, they're if they find a way to beat WKU, they're one of the 2 or 3 teams that are going to possibly make the Conference USA championship game. So, I mean, they're right in there and doing a heck of a job. And I'm definitely nervous about this one. I think it could easily go the other way. So I think we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, I'm not predicting. I think we'll win, but I
no faith. I hear you. I heard you. No faith in the Tops. I heard you. No, they. I mean, like you said. I mean, this team's dangerous. They threw up 45 points against MTSU. We threw up 31. Now, granted, we held MTSU to 10, but MTSU scored 30 against them. So I don't know if that's an indication of their defensive lack or.
Well, here's what happened in that game, Devin, is Middle was up huge in that game.
And they came back, didn't they?
Yeah, Jacksonville State came all the way back and ended up winning by 2 touchdowns. Like, outscored them something to nothing in the second half. It was something ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so definitely an possibly explosive team. They also have a defense that's holding teams under 20 points a game. They're holding people about 360 yards of offense, and they force a ton of turnovers, which is interesting because that certainly it'll be interesting to see who forces more turnovers with both teams being so prolific at that. It's really an interesting matchup. One thing that I noticed is kind of random time of possession. Both teams suck at it. So can anyone keep the football ever? because I didn't look at WKU's time of possession, but Jacksonville State only averages 24 minutes and 16 seconds a game time of possession, despite being 5-2. So it'll be interesting to see if one team kind of dominates time of possession or if neither team really cares. If it's even, who knows? But time of possession could be an indication of how the game is going, positive or negative in some ways. For
I
each of
will
the teams.
say, just kind of going by stats here, Jacksonville State. It looks to me that they are more rush oriented than pass oriented, where we are obviously more passive oriented.
They run a weird offense. They run some triple option, but out of the shotgun.
Okay, I mean, I guess I could see that.
Yeah, so they kind of do like a somewhat an, I guess, RPO ish kind of thing. But they run a triple option really, so they have the option to keep it for the quarterback to pitch it. And then they have another guy, like they'll run a receiver next to him. It's an odd triple option, but it's been pretty effective, and it's obviously messing with people. It's been effective, and yeah, they have a interesting kind of junky offense, but they obviously controlled the pace of their games, and obviously have done pretty well at 5-2. But it's interesting. One thing that I just noticed too that stands out. We're talking about stats. They have 25 sacks on the year, in 7 games. So that's a healthy number there. Almost a game, and they've only given up 9, so which is very solid. I think we're spoiled. We've only given up 3 all year, which is incredible. But 9 is also a very solid number there too. So they seem to do a pretty good job up front, and it's definitely something we're going to need to pay attention to. And gosh, if you can keep them under 2 sacks, that'd be a huge win, given how good they are up front.
Well, I will say one thing for Jacksonville State. There's a game I just pulled up here, and it's not an opponent that is going to be. I mean, a lot of people may scoff at this, but it's Sam Houston. Jacksonville played Sam Houston and ended up going into overtime with them. Now, here's the thing with Jacksonville. They only had 17 minutes of possession. Is that not wild? That's 7. Then, of course, Jacksonville, they gave them -7 in this game. It was September 28th is when they played. But in the first half, Sam Houston was up 21-7. Jacksonville tied it up 28-all with 13 seconds to go in the game. And obviously they went into overtime, and Jacksonville ended up winning that game by 7. But Jacksonville also had to go for a 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter. So this is a team they're not going to give up very easily, evidently. I mean, you've got this, they got the Sam Houston game here, and then they got the game against MTSU, like you said, where they were behind. I'm going to pull that one up because I want to see how that score looked, because that game sounds pretty wild too. Do what now?
It was crazy. I mean,
I'm not a fan, so I didn't go and I didn't watch that. But I mean, that's
it was in the second half.
We've got to go into halftime. It was 23-7. MTSU's up. Kind of sounds familiar, kind of like last week. The third quarter, Jacksonville State scored 17 points there. So they're leading by 1. And then they ended up scoring 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and MTSU only scored 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter. So this team is a late charge team, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's huge, like we've talked about, to play a complete game and not fart around and let them get back in the game. And let's say that WKU gets up 2 or 3 scores or more. You can't play around. You can't I don't know. You can't be like the lion playing with the food when the food's not dead. Like you gotta finish that thing off. Get
Yeah,
that antelope down. You
yeah.
know.
I mean, of course, this game was played in Murfreesboro with a whopping 13,000 people there. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm sure the crowd was really into that game. But again, Jacksonville averaged 25 minutes of possession time.
Yeah.
That is just wild.
There's
Are they? Or do they
definitely-
do like? Do they do like? You know, high tempo, stuff, or I mean, what are we looking at here?
I wish I would have been able to see the whole game against Liberty.
I
I
mean, what are
haven't
you
really
doing?
seen
What are you doing?
Well, my stupid DVR. Let me tell you, Devin, my freaking DVR. It said it recorded Impractical Jokers, but it didn't.
Oh
And
my
then
god!
I set it to record the game, and then I turned off the timer on the Impractical Jokers, and it turned out that the DVR was really turning off the timer of the freaking game. So I get up there because we've been working on cleaning up our house and stuff for an appraisal tomorrow, and this freaking DVR doesn't have the game on there at all, and it's like I think it was late and Liberty was starting to take the lead, so I got to see a little bit of it, but not the part that really would have told me much.
Yeah,
So, but I did have enough time to notice that they do the triple option. It's kind of funky, and it's definitely something that we'll have to have some assignment football. Hats on a ball, don't miss tackles.
no
That kind of.
slinging.
Say what?
I said no more slinging.
Yeah,
That
jeez.
was a frustrating thing to watch the other night too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to see good fundamental defense. Honestly, I think that we should handle this. But they're definitely dangerous, and I would not sneeze at Rich Rodriguez being a factor here. I mean, he is a good coach. He knows what he's doing, and he's got him going in a super positive direction. And you better pay attention to them because obviously they're coming, and we need to be ready. It's on the road. Um, you know, hopefully we show up and do exactly what we're supposed to, or we could get wamboozled and they could end up winning.
Yep. Do you have a prediction?
I'll give you one. I haven't been able to study this one yet. It's still early. We got several days until the game, and so I haven't deeply studied it. But I'll say I still believe that WKU's heading in the right direction. I sincerely hope that. I'm holding on to that hope. But this week could be the week that we find out one way or another. I say that WKU will win, and I say that it'll be 38-21. I think we'll handle them. I think it'll be a nice performance. So we look back and say, okay, that was the moment that we beat a quality team and we put together a real game, and hopefully we work out some kinks and show Conference USA that we're legit.
Okay. I think that's a decent projection. I think we're going to do not quite as well, but I think the problem is going to be just like we deal with every week. We are a quarter mile team, so to speak, whereas I think Jacksonville State is the cross country runner who is used to taking it the limit and running and running and running, and we're just used to the first drag race, so to speak, the first quarter mile. And I think, we're going to have a big charge early. And then I think it's going to be, Jacksonville State, doing their options and coming at us late. I think it's going to be 35-31, but I think Tops will pull it out.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna take Jacksonville you're gonna actually say that WKU will not cover the spread.
Yes, I am saying they will not cover the spread.
Interesting.
but we'll make total points. So there's that.
Yeah, buddy. All right.
I would rather work that out than the other, but yes. So definitely check back with us. Games next Tuesday on ESPN U. That's at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in Jacksonville. So don't go to the Couch if you're wanting to see that one. You're gonna be sitting there by yourself. But Western is going to be playing them, so if you're in that area, go to the game, support the Tops.
By the way, it's only like 4 and some change away from Bowling Green, so this is not an awful drive. If you do have a chance, go support the Tops.
Yeah, Matt's going, so just call him and he'll give you a ride.
Y'all pay for gas.
But anyway, definitely check back next week. We appreciate you listening thus far. If you have listened this far on YouTube, definitely like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. It helps us. And check back next week. We will do the recap for Jacksonville State. This week doesn't feel like a bye week. It just feels like a really long week till our game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I don't know why Jacksonville is playing on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's like a JV schedule or something. But anyway, so definitely check back with us next week, like I said, and we will be back talking, recapping that game and talking about the game against Liberty. I think is our next opponent after that. Hey guys, just stick with us, and we'll talk to you next week. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.